Hey everyone, welcome back. So, let's talk about Electro in Genshin Impact. This Elements had quite the wild ride since the game first dropped. Back in the early days, Electro didn't really steal the spotlight because its elemental reactions weren't that impactful compared to others. But oh boy, that all changed once Dendro came along, bringing fresh reactions like Quicken, Aggravate, and Spread into the mix. Suddenly, Electro got a whole new level of hype and utility that made it way more exciting to play around with. Now, if you're anything like me, you know Electro characters are just some of the coolest in the entire game, visually and gameplay wise. But here's the thing, you can't just slap any Electro character into your team and expect fireworks. Building them right is key if you want to truly feel that electric power coursing through your squad. So today, we're diving into a ranking of the best Electro characters to help you decide who's really worth investing in. Let's get into it.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel.
If you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. Alright, let's talk about Cephos, one of those Electro characters in Genshin Impact who really sneaks under the radar but can bring some serious heat. He dropped alongside Clorind, another Electro unit, but thankfully Cephos didn't get the usual 4-star treatment where he's just there to boost his 5-star buddy. Nope. Cephos stands on his own as a solid sub damage per second character, meaning he's great at dealing consistent damage without stealing the spotlight. What's cool about Cephos is how he uses his charged attacks in two different ways. First, you can just charge up his normal attacks faster by managing his energy well, which is pretty straightforward. But the real fun starts when you pop his elemental burst. Suddenly, all his attacks count as charged attacks, and he fires these piercing shots that slice through multiple enemies. If you position him right, Cephos can shred groups like nobody's business, which makes him an excellent pick for clearing mobs quickly while still fitting nicely into your team. Honestly, if you're into Electro characters but don't want to rely only on flashy 5-stars, Cephos is a sneaky good choice. He doesn't need a ton of energy recharge gear to shine, and with some smart positioning, he's a beast at spreading Electro damage around. So, next time you're building an Electro team, give Cephos a shot. He might just surprise you and become your go-to sub damage per second in no time. Let's dive into Auroron, one of the newer Electro characters in Genshin Impact who's got a unique vibe going on. The game has been pushing a lot on the characters to enhance elemental reactions lately, especially for Electro, and Auroron fits right into that trend. But instead of just buffing the reaction itself like some others, Auroron there shines when you're constantly triggering Electro charged on enemies, dealing steady sub damage per second damage over time. So he's kind of that quiet storm who chips away while you focus on bigger plays. That said, Auroron's not without his downsides. Even after unlocking some of his constellations that boost his damage output, he still struggles to keep up with the strongest sub damage per second units out there. It's like he's trying his best but just can't quite break into the upper tier, especially when you compare him to characters who offer more utility or raw damage. It's a bit of a bummer because the concept is solid, but the execution leaves something to be desired. One big reason for this is his lack of resistance shredding, which is a common trait among many characters who buff elemental reactions. Without that, enemies just shrug off a lot of the damage Auroron dishes out, making him less effective in tougher fights. So if you're looking for a reliable sub damage per cent Electro unit that really cranks up the pressure, Auroron might not be your best bet. But hey, if you're a fan of his style and want to experiment, there's definitely some fun to be had with him in the mix. Let's talk about Keqing, one of the top dogs in Liyue's leadership as the Yu Heng of the Liyue Keqing. At first glance, she might seem a bit distant or arrogant, but once you get to know her, she's got that determined, no-nonsense vibe that really fits her role. What makes Keqing stand out in Genshin Impact is how her elemental skill and elemental burst dish out some seriously heavy Electro damage, making her a powerhouse on the battlefield. When the game first launched, Keqing was one of the most sought-after characters, and for good reason. She was a fantastic Electro main damage dealer with quick, fluid attacks and great mobility. But as more Electro characters came out, especially those who could boost elemental reactions, her popularity took a bit of a hit. It seemed like she was getting overshadowed by the newer meta builds focused on elemental combos. That's all changed with the introduction of the Aggravate reaction. Suddenly, Keqing came back with a vengeance, proving she's still a top-tier damage per second character. Thanks to this reaction, she can punish tougher enemies and bosses like a champ, and her fast-paced playstyle makes her super fun to use. So, if you're aiming to flex some serious Electro power, Keqing is definitely a fantastic choice to have on your team. Let's talk about Sino, the no-nonsense General Mahamatra from Academia who's known for running things with impressive efficiency. While everyone's busy comparing him to the legendary Kisharawa's Great Vayuvyastra, what really matters to us players is how he performs in battle. And spoiler alert, he's a beast. Sino's got this killer critical damage bonus that makes him not just a polearm wielding powerhouse, but also a seriously fun character to play. What makes Sino stand out is how smooth and satisfying his combat style feels. He's built to hit hard and fast, and his abilities stack up great whether you're facing a crowd or a tough boss. Thanks to his elemental skill and burst, he dishes out some heavy electro damage, making him a reliable main damage per second on any team. Plus, his energy regeneration and burst uptime mean you get to keep the action flowing without awkward downtime. Bottom line, if you want a character who's both mechanically rewarding and versatile, Sino is your guy. He brings serious damage while maintaining that cool, disciplined vibe of the General Mahamatra. So, whether you're grinding domains or taking on Abyss challenges, Sino's definitely worth having in your lineup. Let's chat about Fischl, the Electro Archer, who's become a fan favorite for good reason, known as the Prinzessin der Verurteilung. She's got that quirky, almost mysterious personality that makes her stand out not just in lore, but also in gameplay. What really sets Fischl apart is her elemental skill, Night Rider, which summons her crow, familiar Oz. Oz doesn't just look cool, he stays on the field and zaps enemies with consistent electro damage, making Fischl a fantastic choice for constant electro application. Her elemental burst, Midnight Phantasmagoria, takes things up a notch by letting Fischl transform and unleash a flurry of electro damage, helping to clear enemies fast or boost your team's reaction potential. Because of this, she's super versatile. You can build her as a main damage dealer or a strong sub-damage per second character, who keeps that electro energy flowing. Plus, her synergy with weapons like Aqua Simulacra or the Stringless means you can really crank up her damage output and make her feel like a powerhouse. Honestly, Fischl is one of those characters who's just fun to play, whether you're grinding Spiral Abyss or exploring the open world. Her unique playstyle combined with high electro damage keeps things interesting, and she fits well on almost any team that needs reliable electro support. So if you want a character who's equal parts quirky and deadly, Fischl should definitely be on your radar. Alright, let's talk about Ian-san, one of the newer 4-star Electro characters in Genshin Impact who really shakes up the usual niche but limited stereotype. For a long time, Hoyoverse's 4-star releases tended to be great at just one thing but struggled elsewhere, which is why old favorites like Fischl, Bennett and Xingqiu have basically ruled the meta for so long. But Ian-san, she breaks that mold in a big way. What makes Ian-san stand out is her support capabilities. Once you unlock her constellations, she can provide a massive attack boost to your main damage per second character. And here's the kicker. This buff can last up to 15 seconds, which is huge in terms of sustained damage output. Plus, her abilities are so smooth and reliable that she almost maintains 100% uptime on them, meaning your team is constantly benefiting from her support without gaps. So, if you're looking to spice up your team with a 4-star who's not just good enough, but genuinely excellent at boosting damage, Ian-san is definitely worth considering. She's a game changer for Electro lineups and can easily compete with or even outshine some 5-star supports. Trust me, once you get her constellations, you'll wonder how you ever played without her. Let's talk about Yae Miko, the elegant shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine in Inazuma, who's become a fan favorite for good reason. She's got this calm and collected vibe that makes her stand out, but don't let that fool you. Her combat style is anything but gentle. Using a catalyst, Yae Miko can dish out serious electro damage, especially when dealing with large groups of enemies. Her elemental skill summons those totems that stick around on the field and zap foes continuously, making her great for applying steady electro damage without needing to be in the thick of things. What's really clever about Yae Miko is how smooth her gameplay feels. You can pop her elemental burst the moment it's ready and then swap her out immediately, which means no energy or damage goes to waste. This quick in and out playstyle makes her an ideal sub-damage per second character who supports your main damage dealer by constantly applying electro damage and triggering elemental reactions. It's that kind of versatility that makes her a staple on so many teams. and honestly, with her gorgeous design and those intimidating abilities, she's tough to pass up. Yae Miko isn't just about looks, she's a powerhouse who can really boost your Electro game while keeping things fun and dynamic. If you're building an Inazuma-themed team or just love Electro characters in general, she's definitely someone you want on your roster. Let's chat about Clorinde, a character who had everyone waiting eagerly since her trailer dropped before Fontaine's release. The hype was real, and honestly, she did not disappoint. What really makes Clorinde stand out is her unique dual-wielding style. Yep, she's rocking pistols, which instantly gives her a super fresh and exciting playstyle compared to the usual sword or bow characters in Genshin Impact. Her elemental skill is where the magic happens. When you press it, she enters a special stance where she fires pistol shots to build up something called Bond of Life. Then, by activating the skill again, she clears that Bond of Life, dealing a burst of area of effect damage and healing herself at the same time. This self-sustain makes her pretty tanky and lets her stay in the fight longer without constantly needing support or healing from teammates, which is a huge plus. What really takes Clorinde to the next level is how well she pairs with elemental reactions like Overload and Aggravate. Since she's an Electro user, triggering these reactions with her attacks not only boosts her damage, but also adds that extra layer of crowd control and burst potential. All in all, Clorinde is not just strong, she's genuinely fun to play, and her kit feels smooth and satisfying every time you jump into battle with her. Let's talk about Verisa, the fiery warrior from Natlan who's quickly becoming one of the most fun characters to play in Genshin Impact. What really sets her apart is her elemental skill. It's super versatile. You can tap it for a free plunge attack, which is great for throwing down quick damage in combat, but here's the kicker. If you hold that skill, she zooms across the map with incredible speed. This makes exploration a breeze, especially in the vast and rugged Natlan region, where getting around quickly can be a game changer. When it comes to damage, Verisa's elemental burst is where she truly shines. If you play her right, you can unleash multiple mini bursts, stacking up serious damage and shredding enemy health like there's no tomorrow. It's a playstyle that rewards timing and precision, so once you get the hang of it, she becomes a powerhouse in battle. Plus, her damage scales well enough that you don't need the rarest weapons or the most exclusive teammates to make her work. That's the best part. Verisa is incredibly friendly for free-to-play players. You can build a solid team around her without breaking the bank and still tackle all the endgame content Genshin Impact throws at you. So if you're looking for an Electro character who's fun, fast, and packs a punch, Verisa might just be your new best friend. Raiden Shogun, also known as A or Bal, depending on who you ask, is pretty much the queen of Electro in Genshin Impact. She's not just some storyline boss you have to face, she's a powerhouse character you want on your side. What makes her stand out is how versatile she is. She's capable of dealing massive Electro damage herself, but that's only part of the story. She's built to support your entire team while shredding enemies at the same time. Her elemental burst is where she really shines. Not only does it hit hard, but it also buffs your other party members' damage and restores their energy. This means your team can spam their powerful abilities more often, which is a huge advantage, especially during tough fights. It's like having a damage dealer and a support rolled into one elegant package. Overall, Raiden Shogun is the kind of character who fits into almost any team composition you throw at her. Whether you're running a full Electro setup or mixing elements for some crazy reactions, she elevates the entire squad. If you want a character who's strong, flexible, and can carry your team through all kinds of challenges, Raiden Shogun is definitely the one to pick. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.